Welcome to MELfeed.video. We are commencing a live web stream service via youtube.com from Echuca, Australia. We currently conduct these streams on Monday evenings, with other times to be added as more opportunities arise. Please visit our website MELfeed.video for further information. This web video project presents old and new community TV programs. Please enjoy your stay with MELfeed.video.
This repeat episode of NAT Chat Migration Stories is presented as a tribute to its host, Richard McAuliffe, who sadly passed away this last year.
Welcome viewers to Migration Stories, produced by Northern Access TV here in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. Today's guest is Rosa Vezegi from Iran.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure to have you.
We're hoping
here
to learn your story and a bit more about the background of Baha'i people from Iran.
Thank you so much.
Now, how long since you migrated from Iran to Melbourne?
I arrived 9 November 1999 at 6:30 in the morning.
Oh, even the time.
I remember that time.
You were so anxious to get here?
I was confused and very sad at that time because I didn't have the plan to come and stay here.
Really?
Yes.
So I know, of course, that you needed to escape from Iran or...
No, I didn't
evacuate.
escape. When I was in Iran, I had a problem with the Iranian government. I was for a long time in prison, but after that I started to work, and every time I found a job, the government put pressure the company to fire me because of my faith. After they make decision to come overseas and learn language and go back to Iran. I came to Malaysia, then I went to Singapore, and I found I can't travel to other countries because I am carrying Iranian passport. And then I went to India, and I thought as Baha'i I can serve in the temple, Baha'i temple, and go back to Iran. I was in India, I found I can't go back to Iran. My mother called me and said, you can't. And I was crying and I didn't know what I have to do. Then I introduced myself to United Nations and asked for refugee, and then get 3 years to get to Australia. I applied for many countries, and Australia gave me visa.
Now, during those 3 years, you were in India then?
Yes.
Wow. Were you isolated in India from everyone you knew and family?
I was not able to write a letter to my family. When I called, my mother controlled my call phone every time, and I had very difficult time because I didn't have enough money to stay there. But I got the support from Baha'i people in India. But I traveled many states and lived with many peoples until I got the visa and came to Australia.
Wow. Such a tragic story so far.
Oh,
but take us back to the earlier days in Iran. What was the environment that, you know, your family lived in? What was the sort of work prospects, and you were able to worship your religion in Iran, but not easily?
No, I think we had always problem with government, but after revolution in 1987,
that was
78, sorry, 78, yeah, when revolution happened in Iran, many people lost their freedom, especially Baha'i people. We couldn't from that day go to university, we couldn't have the job, make the business. Our children, and they couldn't go to a school also. We didn't have any kind of freedom of Iranian citizen until today.
Yes. Even until now, there is still no freedom.
No freedom. We cannot practice our religion.
Right.
And we cannot have this monitoring all the time our account in the bank. We don't have own cemetery. This is very difficult. Our young people and people who want to go to university, actually they can't, because they are Baha'i.
My goodness. Are there any happy memories from your time in Iran at all? Or?
I remember from childhood, because of my father's religion always attacked me. But based on Baha'i faith, when we grew up, we choose what we want to be.
Yes.
We don't follow parents' religion based on Baha'i principle. And well, when I 15, I choose what I want to be. You know, yes, I learned how to challenging.
Yes.
That is good memory for me.
Indeed. And did you look forward to, you know, emigrating? Did you look forward to, in any way, coming to Australia?
I thought one day I'd travel to other countries to...
In the West?
Yes, and Europe and everywhere, and visit many people and learn from other people's culture and everything. But I didn't think I am going to live my life in other countries.
You never really thought, we'll have to live in another country.
And I'm not able to go back to my country.
Yes.
But now Australia is my country too. And
tragically, your sister is still imprisoned.
Yes, my sister now is 15th of March, become 5 years she has been in prison.
Oh my goodness.
She accused, she teach the Baha'i faith.
Yeah.
She went against the government and she's a spy. But based on Baha'i faith, Baha'i people cannot involve in politics actually.
Yes.
And we respect all people for who they are and what they believe. But I think all Baha'i people in Iran has a similar situation.
Okay. So that's the story for
all 300,000 Baha'i in Iran.
So many.
Yes.
Okay, well, when we come back, we'll find out a little bit more about Rosa's work here in Melbourne and a little bit more about the Baha'i faith.
Wake up each morning with Move It or Lose It.
Regular exercise for bone health, at least weekly, can help you age well and avoid accidents and injury.
Tune in to Channel 31 for brand new episodes of Move It or Lose It.
Locals here made the shocking discovery this morning. Police have sealed off the entire beach.
There is a killer. One of the worst killers in Australia. Skin cancer. Every year, skin cancer kills over 1,700 Australians. Don't be a victim. This summer, protect yourself against skin cancer.
If you were living on the streets, wouldn't you want more than just your best friend to keep you safe and warm? Donate to Backpack Bed for Homeless and give warm, waterproof protection and dignity tonight. Call 1300 OzHelp.
Hey guys, what'd you like?
Coffee, thanks.
2 coffees, please. What kind of coffee would he like?
Cappuccino.
Cappuccino. What can I get for you?
I'll have a coffee, thanks.
Yeah, 2 coffees, please. Awesome. And what kind of coffee would you like?
Cappuccino, thanks.
2 cappuccinos.
Autism. Change your reactions, change your actions.
Northern Access Television will turn 30 in 2020. We are planning a celebration night with a book and a special TV show about our history. If you're a past member or a volunteer of NAT, we would love to hear from you. For more details, visit the website nat30years.info and find out how you can help celebrate 30 years of media for the community. The 30th anniversary of Northern Access Television. Let's celebrate in 2020.
Welcome back. We're here with Rosa, who migrated to Australia from Iran in
1999.
So the Baha'i religion really caused you many of your problems. Well, what are some of the elements of of this faith?
You know, the Baha'i faith is the world religion.
World religion?
Yeah, world religion.
Okay.
And it has been was founded in 1844 and has been present in Australia since 1920. The faith central theme is the humanity is one family.
One family,
Yes.
a humanist.
Yes, we believe all woman and man equal. We believe we abandon any kind of prejudice and we are not involved in politics. Usually education is compulsory for all people in the world.
Right.
We believe that God like other religion. And everybody can search for truth. It means, as I told, if you're born in family, you don't need to follow the parents' religion.
Okay.
When you grow up, you find and you can search and study and find what you want to be.
The truth is inside.
Yeah,
the
the truth
individual.
inside everybody and many other things. And we are not never involved in any kind of politics, and we are obey the law of the country we live.
But you promote Baha'i. You know, you're passionate about the religion.
Yeah, we are with behavior, with character, with I think we promote Baha'i, not by giving the book to somebody,
Yeah.
but we try with love and peace bring the people.
Okay. So this saw you being imprisoned as well.
Yeah, I never understand why Iranian government took me and put in prison because.
What was the actual specific charge, or did they have a charge?
No, I was in the taxi. Only somebody asked me. They was talking to each other people, and was criticized other religion. And I said all people are human.
Yes.
And we had to love all people for who we are. For example, I am Baha'i. We had to love other people. The driver stopped, the call from mobile, and suddenly in 5 minutes, few petrol arrived, blindfolded me and dragged me to another car.
Unbelievable.
And took me to prison, like that.
And you stayed there for, 3 years?
Yeah, for 3 years, they threw me out, again returned me back, going and coming all
So
the
just by speaking
Yeah.
in the taxi,
Yeah,
the taxi driver called the
but
police?
usually, yes, based on the Iranian constitution,
Yes.
they don't accept the Baha'i faith as religion.
Right.
And I don't
goodness.
understand why. But they had very bad experience in prison. They killed many people in front of my eyes. They tortured many people in front of me.
Oh
My
God,
room
I'm
was
so
there.
sorry.
No, it was very small room, and my food was 3 potato, raw potato every day. I didn't have any kind of the bars, and only it was door, iron door. I was here, the people screaming and everything.
My goodness.
I put me with many women and men and shoot them.
Yes.
And when I opened my eyes, my dress was full of the blood, and everywhere was blood.
I'm so sorry to
And
hear that.
no,
It's
I
terrible.
don't understand why Iranian government did to me or other people, because all we are human.
Oh, that's terrible. When you were released from jail, no wonder you tried to escape the country.
No, I never
quickly.
thought I am escape from my country. One day threw me in the street.
My goodness.
And never came back to me. I think they thought now I am like dead people,
Yes.
and they don't need me anymore. But I am very happy. It never allowed them to have victory.
They didn't have victory over you
No.
because, look, you're here now.
No, because only asked me all the time to sign the paper. I am not anymore Baha'i. And
Really?
they said to me, when I asked them why you beat me and torture me, they said, your blood is halal.
My goodness.
And we had to kill all Baha'i and take the root all Baha'i out from land, earth.
Unbelievable.
But I forgive them. But I can't forget what they did to me. But I think there is ignorance.
There is so much.
Yes.
You haven't even left it all behind because your
No,
sister is still there.
No, I came only for holiday overseas and learn language.
Yes.
I couldn't go back. And
No.
until now, 17 years passed, I can't go back to my country.
No.
And yeah, but Australia is my country. I am citizen of the world.
Indeed. So, what kind of things do you find in Australia that have helped you heal inside? Is it our beautiful country or the people?
Yeah, I
or-
think Australia, when I arrived here, first I was confused, but I found Australia is very beautiful. And people had freedom to express their feelings, freedom of speech.
And some of this gave you a bit of inspiration to...
Yeah, beliefs to do what they want to do until don't hurt the society. And government try to respect the human rights, and that is helped me to feel safe and start my new life. And you know, I am writing the books.
Yes.
And I express my feeling and what happened to people through the books. Writing children books, adult. Recently I wrote...
So you're an author. Well, we know that. You have your own book.
Thank you so much, yeah. I try to do what I can to bring the peace to society, to the world actually, and show the world everywhere we live, we have duty to be kind to our environment.
Yes.
And to do what we can do and bring good things.
Yes. And is there a Baha'i community in Melbourne? Or
Yes.
are you really isolated?
No. We are Australia. It's nice in Australia. Everybody has freedom to practice what they believe.
But-
Okay.
And you found a community of people?
Each area has own community.
Yeah.
And we every 19 days go together. With prayer.
Oh, so it's a regular group and meeting?
Also, we have in the city.
What is the name of this group that we can, if people want to find out about
This is something people attend every month, first Sunday every month. There is night soul food in the city, in the state library.
Oh, yes.
Freedom, free for everybody to attend that and call the soul food.
Oh, well, wonderful.
Yeah.
Soul food at the library
that
on a
is
monthly basis.
Yes.
And you're also singing and, rehearsing with the Boat and a few other groups?
Yeah, I was able through the Boat, I give some funding and bring the Iranian women together. And we start first Iranian choir women refugees.
All right, Rosa. Well, we're going to go to a break now, and when we come back, we'll find out a little bit more about what you're up to in Melbourne.
For over 80 years, the Royal Flying Doctor Service has been providing a mantle of safety across our vast land. Last year alone, they attended to more than 250,000 patients and flew over 23 million kilometres. That's the equivalent of flying to the moon and back every fortnight. Whether it's an emergency rescue, delivery of urgent medical supplies, or an air ambulance transfer to a major city hospital, the Flying Doctor is always out there for everyone. Let's keep it that way. Donations to the Royal Flying Doctor Service can be made online, by cheque or by calling the number on your screen now. All donations over $2 are tax deductible. So please give generously and help keep the doctor flying.
Joy, well-being, community, inclusion.
Special Olympics is a global movement for people with an intellectual disability, creating a world of inclusion and community through sport, where every person is accepted and welcomed, regardless of ability. One athlete, one volunteer, one family member at a time, helping to make the world a better place. Join the inclusion revolution by supporting Special Olympics.
And choose to include.
It was a dark and stormy night bar over a strawberry margarita. Steve and Jacqueline had time to kill, so they decided to slaughter it. The result, 15 fabulous minutes. You be the judge.
Transports of Distant Delight is a mixed selection of transportation pictures from here and there and almost everywhere, but not quite. Some quirky, some mundane, some from the past, perhaps reflecting a transit system that has vanished into history, and some from thriving transport entities that continue to endure despite the constant pressures from the all-pervasive motorcar. Enjoy.
Welcome back to Migration Stories today with Rosa from Iran. And here is the book that she wrote and published in Australia, hey?
Yes.
And it's the story of your time in prison in Iran.
Many women in prison, yes.
The stories of many of the women
yes.
in prison. So that'd be a great read, I think, for people who want to find out about some of the terrible stories of entrapment and persecution around the world.
Because of that I put the name, Where is the Justice?
Where is the justice, indeed.
Yeah.
But you have some strength that you're building now with your community here in Melbourne.
Yes.
And you're still hoping to get your sister here? Is it that she wants to
if
come
one day
here?
become free from prison, yes, of course.
And when you look at Australia, you know, what are your views of, say, you know, the schooling and, you know, the social freedoms and the media? Give us some views as to how you see our society and how it's represented.
I am very lucky, actually, I am in Australia because, for example, I couldn't continue my study in Iran. The government deprived me to.
So you're studying here?
Yeah, I study international community development in Victoria University.
Wow.
I learned about childcare, business, and I was free. I have freedom to write the books I wanted.
Indeed.
And I try to learn other people's culture, and I
Best
think
place is Melbourne, hey?
Yes.
Northern suburbs.
And I thought that is good if all of us we learn from each other.
Yes.
And that has helped the society grow up. Because I am living in Melbourne, in a multicultural city. And it's nice, we know each other, and when we know each other, easy to live together.
Does it look like to you that we're, you know, in Australia we're very good at these endeavours and this field?
They are very good Australian people. They are very friendly and very supporting.
Yeah.
Something
and
I like
interested in stories from around the world.
Yeah, I think there is story.
Not so much?
Some of the people, I think sometimes they're afraid to know other people's story because it never had the experience what we went through.
These qualifications, they're going to be quite valuable in the future. Do you think? You know, would you recommend for your children to study in these areas of cultural integration?
I think that is nice if you do it because if we look at, we want to bring the peace to the world, I think that is a good idea. Because if we learn how the conflict going, because always we had conflict with each other because we don't know each other. We don't know the culture,
and
we don't know
fear something from the other culture.
Yeah, we are afraid. But when we learn from each other, become closer to each other. And we can share many things and give up what is not good and take it what is the good for us.
So there's employment in this field for you? And
I work at the moment.
Studying?
I actually got the job with the EMS, with the refugee settlement.
Refugee settlement.
And around 2 years and a half I am working with them. And I like to, when I teach the refugee how to start new life here, learn about the culture.
Yeah.
And
here you are already helping to settle.
Yeah, I think that is good because I had myself experience how it's difficult when we don't know and arrive in new countries.
Yes.
And you are far from your family and don't have anybody.
And a very small group of people to connect with.
Yes, yes. And that is easy for them. I think when they know somebody from own culture, they help them. And the same language, they become very accept the society and try to learn, but more about other people.
So you see here in Australia, we together have an opportunity really to mould a better future of many various cultures living together.
We have. We can try more, you know.
Yes. And
accept people for who they are and love them.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the other elements of Australia or Melbourne that you're liking? I mean, are you a beach person? Because that's the main culture in the summertime.
I like everything.
Indeed.
I think everything nice.
Do you get to travel into the countryside at all?
I went to Ballarat, I went to Apollo Bay, around the Melbourne. I went around the Melbourne actually, and I went to Sydney, Perth, Canberra, and I like everywhere.
Yes.
And I hope I can see more places in Australia.
It's a pity it's so far apart. Hey.
But it's a nice country.
Now, well, I have the globe of the map here. Iran, is it landlocked?
Yes, I think.
Yeah. It's all, there's no sea there in Iran, is there?
Oh, around Iran is sea, why not?
Okay, so you have a sea there in Iran. I'm showing my ignorance here.
Sorry.
But that's okay, because what sort of, you know, beach culture aspect do you, you know, worries you, or what are you looking at there?
In Iran or here?
Here.
Everything I think is nice. I don't look at the specific things because I think for me everything is beautiful.
Yep. All right. So what about a story of, you know, your family at the moment here? How big is your immediate family here at the moment?
I don't have. Just 10 days before one of my sisters arrived here, but I don't have immediate family here. I was alone by myself all the time.
My goodness. And what's going to happen now about, you know, thinking about, when you think about Iran now?
I can't go back to my country of my birth. Now I think Australia is my country.
Yeah.
And I am citizen of the world. But if I go back to Iran, only my mind sometimes go back. I remember the street, the smell of the food and tree and everything.
Indeed.
But I feel here I am safe. And I am with good people.
Right. So that's really one of the main feelings is safety, security.
Yeah, safe and security. But I hope I can contribute to Australian society more, because Australia give me something very nice. Safe place to live, to do what I want to do, to write, to practice my religion.
A something I was not house?
Yeah, I go to foundation house sometime, and I enjoy to be with people. The book I wrote, actually, I got support from Foundation House to do it.
Foundation
and encouraged me to write it, because they thought that it helped the people to understand what's happening to women around the world, actually.
Indeed. So more books to come, Rosa?
I wrote my 8 children books, actually.
Wow. In English?
In English.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote the Iranian cooking books, but I am looking for publisher. I couldn't do that. And I am thinking to write the books about why we don't love each other.
Fantastic, Rosa. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So any publishers there, give us a call. And indeed, check the Northern Access TV website for more information. Thank you very much for watching today. Check you next week.
Performance Poetry comes your way with Red Lobster every Monday night at 9:30. Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV.
Alleluia. Pani Padmi Om. Allah Satnam.
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and today we're speaking with Reverend Dr. Gordon Preece. He's the director of the Ethos Centre for Christianity and Society and an Anglican minister. Thanks for coming in, Gordon.
Pleasure, Norm.
I presume that you were a Christian from birth. What does your life look like from that point?
From that point? Well, I can't quite remember back to my birth, but like something happened just before my birth that did have, I think, a fairly formative effect, and I only really found out it's quite later in life, because my mother, who had a mental illness and had shock treatment, there was one day when I was in my 40s. She called up and said she'd found the death certificate for my elder brother. Now, I knew I had an elder brother, and I'd given my sisters a hard time, saying, "Oh, I have a brother. I wished I'd had a brother." His name was Guy. He died, and this is what she told me. She told me he died the day I was born.
Right.
But she'd actually misphrased it. He died a year to the day when I was born, which is significant enough. There was something very significant about that. All three of us were named with a G after him. My mother still had on her number plates 3 Gs, GGG, in memory of him. I can't help thinking that had something to do with her mental illness later. But yeah, so I think there was something quite profound in that for me at a kind of precognitive kind of level. And I know my parents regarded me as a great gift from God, that they were able to have a child and to have a son. Not in any sense as a replacement. Everyone's absolutely unique, but I think there was very much a sense of being wanted and loved. And in terms of that, later there was a particularly significant experience that I had when I was really, in some ways, getting in touch with that loss of a brother. I can remember my wife going off and doing a course that was a free to live, free to love course, and how to get in touch with your inner feelings.
Yes.
And I was watching a movie called Ordinary People, and Ordinary People was a story about a family that had havoc wreaked upon it by the loss of the elder brother. And the mother had been in many ways destroyed by that. The father had done his best to try and hold things together. The younger son had always blamed himself for somehow not being strong enough to hold on to the elder brother after a boating accident. And the elder brother drowned.
Yep.
Until finally he was able one day to see that maybe it was that the elder brother hadn't been able to hold on and stop blaming himself. And I remember I watched this show, and then I just uncontrollable sobbing came over me.
Good heavens!
It was like something. This movie triggered something incredibly profound in relationship to my own brother. Sometimes it's been very special to me to think of Christ as a kind of, as the Bible pictures him, as the sort of eldest brother. The firstborn of many brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Is that kind of picture, the firstborn from the dead. And I've often thought of, in some ways, as Jesus a bit like that kind of elder brother in that sense. Now, I think he's not only that.
No.
But, and there's a lot of other things in my own story in relationship to that. My family was more a nominal Christian family. It was a Presbyterian sort of family, the Scottish heritage. They sent us along to Sunday school, and they went occasionally. But for me, when I went and when I read the Bible read me. There was a very strong sense of that.
Was there?
That it was my own human nature and its kind of its glory and its grottiness, all of that I felt that was holding up a mirror to me, and that was, you know, fundamental in terms of my own sense of Christian belief.
How old were you when that occurred?
Oh, I think that was going on probably from, I can think, 9, 10, from times I was sort of in Sunday school and that. But I do remember a particular sort of experience when I was probably around 13 or 14, and we'd moved houses and we lived opposite the National Park in the Sutherland Shire in Sydney, and had a balcony and could stand under the stars at night, and you didn't have the interference from lots of city lights. Right. So, and dealing with my own kind of teenage sense of angst and identity crisis and all of that, just the sense of the enormity of creation, right, and the even greater enormity of God, that God could have created that, and yet, in the Psalm 8 kind of way, what is man that you bother about us, the sons of men that you care about us. When I look at the stars in the sky, etc. Still, the sense that even in my smallness, that God had bothered to make me and to speak to me and to put us as humans in charge of the world, in a sense, and responsible to Him and responsible to care for creation and look after it. That was a very, very profound experience for me at about that age.
So, do you sort of feel that you might have had the mark of being a religious on you at that stage? Was it sort of driving it in that way?
I think, like, I always wanted to do something important in my life, and that now some of that's just kind of a bit of adolescent kind of identity crisis and that. But I think I had a sense developed of a sense of calling that that if this God was really so big and really true, then there was nothing more important I could do with my life than try and share that with people. No. Not in a way of imposing that, but in a form of dialogue with people about sharing the things that are the most deep in our lives. And so I've always been fairly quick to get into fairly deep conversation with people. And
rather than be quick, we'll have to be unquick at the moment. We're out of time, and we'll be back in a moment.
Statistics show 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually assaulted before their 18th birthday. Help break the silence on child sexual assault. Go to bravehearts.org.au.
To every child's development. An important message from the Australian Toy Association.
We reckon one of the most powerful things in the world is this sausage. Because a sausage can do just about anything. It helps people to walk, see and hear, supports families after fire, drought and flood, and even helps plant trees in our community. Our sausages are working to cure cancer, helping farmers in tough times, and connecting people who are new to a community. And at the same time that they're doing all that, they're nurturing the leaders of tomorrow while building friendships that last a lifetime. Yep, these humble sausages are more powerful than you can believe. They're working wonders in our community. And at Lions, so can you. Lions Australia, we serve more than sausages.
With the warmer months upon us, here are some poolside safety tips. Because not everyone can swim like Clarkie and I. S is for supervision. Always have an adult watching over the kids. A is for Oswim. Have your children taught to swim by an Oswim licensed teacher. F is for fencing. Ensure secure fencing surrounds your pool. E is for emergencies. Always be prepared. R is for rule. Ensure your family know the rules around your pool. Be safer and have fun.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Reverend Dr. Gordon Preece. He's the director of the Ethos Centre for Christianity and Society, and he's an Anglican minister. Gordon, we were talking about calling. How did that calling generate within you? You've gone on to quite a lot of involvement. How did the calling look like?
Yeah, there's an American author who talks about your call is where the world's deepest hunger and your greatest joy meet. Mm-hmm. And I think, and joy is connected, I think, with your gifts, mm-hmm. which I think come from God, your gifts and talents, etc. You know, some of which are kind of, you could say, natural, but or created. Some of which are cultivated over time. And I suppose for me it was. Well, I can remember giving a speech with a member of Parliament sitting at the front row at the school speech night when I was about 12, and so I can remember. I was thinking, yeah, I can do this. I can speak in public. Having to stand up for my faith in front of not just the Billy Graham crusade, which was relatively easy in front of 50,000, frankly, in 1968 at the age of 14, but at school. Yes. And this wasn't a religious school. It wasn't a private school. It was a public school, and being challenged to stand up for my faith and literally stand up in front of everyone who was sitting down. And so for me, a lot of it has been a calling to stand up in public as a Christian. That your Christianity can't be a privatised thing. It can't be a Sunday thing. And I think I learned a fair bit of that sort of working alongside my father in the family business. Concrete products business, that you had to integrate your faith and your work. Some of that stuff, you know, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing properly. Yes. It's got to be a 24/7 thing. That was always for me. If that God was big enough to create the universe, if Jesus was the Word who through whom the universe was expressed, then and created. Then that's a 24/7 thing. That's not something that's shut up on a Sunday. It's got to be a Monday to Friday kind of thing. That's in my work. So I've basically got a doctorate in theology of work and vocation or calling. Right. And in play, I did want to be a professional soccer player, and I still play soccer now at the age of 60, and so a bit like Eric Liddell, you know, when he says, when I run, I feel God's pleasure. He said to his missionary sister. Well, for me, it's when I run with a ball, I feel God's pleasure. Right. So whether it's work or play, I have a sense of God's calling in all of that, and all of that I regard as a part of ministry and part of worship, with a sense of gratitude to God for being able to do those things. It just flows out of that.
Yes, with deep roots, because when you mentioned Billy Graham, do I understand that you got up and spoke at one of his rallies?
No, I spoke at school at a speech night at school, and so that kind of gave me the sense. Well, yeah, I can actually speak up. But it wasn't on a specifically religious topic or anything like that at that time. But later being challenged to stand up in front of my peers as a Christian and make a commitment to Christ. That was even more significant. Like, you know, it's got to be fleshed out in your school or your workplace, your home, on the soccer field or sports field. It's got to be fleshed out in those contexts, or it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It doesn't have any credibility. It doesn't mean that you've got to be perfect, but you're moving in that direction and want to see God rule in all of those areas of life. For me, that's been critical.
Yes. Well, how were you at university? Was there a challenge at university?
Yeah, certainly lots of challenges, because I went to Sydney University, and a sandstone university as they call them, and I can remember, like, I had just come from, I did have some trouble in high school, and particularly when my mother went through her 2 nervous breakdowns, as you called them then. I was a pretty teary teenager. I often think that was kind of my own sort of way of sort of sympathising with her, and. But I did find out, I did have an intelligence test when I was in year 11 that told me I was in the sort of top 1%. And I'd been given a fairly hard time by friends at school and because I didn't do that well up to year 10. But then I just started to devour literature, history, etc. I did extremely well in the HSC. But then, first year of uni, I was doing philosophy, and you had, and Sydney University's philosophy department was notoriously atheistic, and it was pretty much shoved down your throat. There wasn't much tolerance for religion whatsoever. We had an essay on the meaning of life and Christianity, and I kind of brought up my best sort of C.S. Lewis and Francis Schaeffer and other sorts of things in responding to this question. I got 4 out of 10, and I was devastated, absolutely devastated. But there was another Christian at uni who just really challenged me to just really read and kind of devour Christian literature and stuff that engaged with philosophy and other things, not in some sort of kind of retreat, but in a way that engaged the world of the university and the event. And war was going on. A conscientious objector was released on campus. And so I just devoured this stuff. I think I ended up topping the exam in philosophy. And I thank that guy for the challenge. And I ran the bookstore for the Christian Union, and we used to be set up like next to the Spartacists, the communist group. And it was interesting to have discussions with them and realise they had denominations like we do too amongst the Marxists. That's right. And I'd take the bookstore home, and I'd basically read the whole bookstore. Like I would read the bookstore at home. I just had to make sure I didn't kind of crease the leaves of the books or anything, and if they had to be taken back later to the bookshop. So that was, and my father, thankfully, and Mum, they'd paid for me to do a speed reading course, when I was in high school.
Right. Yes.
So they had kind of shown belief in me, and that was very important. And,
well, speed reading is an issue which is designed to save time. We'll just take a break.
Yep.
We'll be back in a moment.
Always better. Every time we buy certified organic, we're making a choice to help our environment and build a healthier community. But it can be hard to know that what we're buying is truly organic. The Australian Certified Organic logo is only given to products after a very rigorous process. So when you see this logo, it means you can trust that there are no genetically modified foods, no animal cruelty, and no harsh synthetic pesticides used. A healthier community is always better for our future. So the next time you shop, look for this logo.
We've all seen this one time or another. We may even have done it ourselves. But inhaling balloon gas is very dangerous and can be fatal. The helium in balloon gas acts as an asphyxiant, and when you inhale, it displaces the oxygen in your lungs. Balloon gas is safe in balloons and when you release it in a well-ventilated area and in a safe manner. So the next time you see some sucker about to inhale balloon gas, or you think it's going to be a laugh, stop and be gas-wise.
This bank is helping to save lives. Every year, 500,000 Victorians have no idea where their next meal is coming from. Food Bank Victoria works with farmers, supermarkets and manufacturers to make sure their surplus stock ends up here to be distributed to those in need. But all of this is not enough. Right now, this bank needs interest, your interest, to support Victorians in need. If you can help, visit foodbankvictoria.org.au.
Wow, she looks like she had a big night.
Yeah. Nice glasses, Alice.
Hey Alice,
Do you want me to put the blinds down?
Autism. Change your reactions, change your actions.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. And we're speaking with Reverend Dr. Gordon Priest. Calling. Looks as though you had a powerful calling. After or during university, I think you married, didn't you? How did that carry on with your calling?
Yeah, well, I think calling isn't just something in relationship to work or calling or vocation. I think there's calling relationally, and otherwise you can just end up being a workaholic, and I probably have some tendencies that way. But I think fundamentally to have a sense of being called to share my life with Susan at a relatively young age. We met when we were about in our early 20 basically. I think I was about 20 or so, and that sense of being deeply accepted by someone. And right. I think we both share the same faith, but a deep sense of being accepted as I was. For me, that was a kind of parable of God's love for me, and having had a somewhat disturbed kind of adolescence, yes. with those issues with my mother's mental illness. And that but I knew my mother loved me, but to meet a really, really sane woman, and but when we were married, there's also another side that when you I've often reflected that when you say those vows, and I love the kind of traditional sorts of vows for sickness, in sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer, till death us do part. But when you say in sickness and in health, you don't necessarily realise that your spouse or partner's sickness that they might have in the future or whatever, or your children. Yeah. And one of the things that has been particularly difficult for me personally and for our family, but something that God has brought great good out of in the long run, has been I guess the effect of my mother's mental health genes on in our family, in my son in particular. Like, I have his permission to talk about this. He's progressed incredibly, from those days, and is incredibly heroic. But he developed bipolar disorder, and that has been a big issue for him. And we had two. We called them our annus horribilis in our Christmas letters, 4 years apart, that were very, very difficult. And he appeared on 60 Minutes talking about that. He was very brave. He wanted to share that, and he's a fantastic example that there is hope for people with mental illness and that. And he's very happily married. He's studying at university. He's one of my heroes. But that's led in many ways the whole family in various ways, I guess, to be kind of wounded healers in the sense of my wife works in the area of mental health, training carers, and seeking to try and give them hope and help them to have perseverance. Okay. My daughter works with refugees who've often suffered trauma and abuse and persecution, and her husband is training to be a psychiatrist, and there's a strong kind of thread running through the family in terms of that, and so I think we've really experienced God's grace in a very deep way, and healing in a very deep way through that, and I think we've seen lots of miracles through that process, and yet we've got great sympathy for people who haven't necessarily seen that, and yet battle on and persevere. And sometimes I wonder how they get out of bed in the morning, but they continue to, whether that's a person who may suffer with a mental illness, or whether that's a person persons who are caring for them.
Yes.
I guess we really want to empower those people and encourage them, and in many ways admire them in their journey. And I think some of them see things that others don't. You know, like a Van Gogh, for instance. You know, he painted Starry, Starry Night, which was a kind of Psalm 8 kind of thing, like I was talking about before.
Yes,
he painted that, at least some versions of that, from the mental hospital.
Yes.
And I think he could see things that other people who we might label more normal couldn't actually see.
That's right. To use the word normal is dangerous.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a spectrum. You know, we're all under a certain level of stress.
Yes.
Can find ourselves really succumbing and going under and coming to the point where we might be labelled mentally ill.
That's clearly been a directional thing in the way in which your ministry has gone. Would that be a fair observation, that it sort of concreted it in?
Like I think the term wounded healer is something that I think you know, you get sensitised to suffering in your own background. Obviously, my mother's suffering. The point, by the way, where I realised my mum most loved me was when, because she couldn't cry much because of the shock treatment that she'd had, when she wept when I told her I'd missed out by 1 point on the state under-16 soccer team, and I wanted to be a professional soccer player. And she wept, and I was able to weep because of that.
So you connected with that.
That is, that's my most fond memory of my mother. And so that opens up, I think, a way of being able to try and connect with people and share and weep with those who weep, just as Jesus wept at the tomb of Lazarus when he connected with the grief of Mary and Martha and his own loss of his friend Lazarus. You realise there's a God who weeps human tears.
Yes.
And that makes all the difference in the end, and then enables you to weep with those who weep. Not just rejoice with those who rejoice, you know.
Very powerful.
But also rejoice with those who rejoice.
Yes, of course. Very powerful. Look, we're getting towards the end, and I think there's a lot more stuff we can explore. Would you be happy to come back next week?
Sure, love to.
Thank you very much. We'll be back next week with Gordon Priest, and thanks for watching.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu
Hi, I'm Lane Beachley. Australians have recycled enough printer cartridges to cover Bondi Beach 12 times. That's kept 11,000 tonnes of valuable resources out of landfill. Drop your used original cartridges into the special boxes at participating retail outlets, and they'll be turned into new products, from pens to road surfaces. Help us keep up the good work. Find out more at cartridges.planetark.org.
Alleluia. Om Mani Padme Om.
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. And today, again, we're speaking with Reverend Dr. Gordon Priest. He's the director of the Ethos Centre for Christianity and Society and he's an Anglican minister. Gordon, we talked last week about calling. We talked last week about the fact that this whole power of the wounded healer has had quite an influence around you as a person. How has that launched your later career activities? What's the basis?
I think it's been that kind of having an ear for the outsider and wanting to kind of magnify their voices, listen to those voices, people who don't normally get heard.
Yes.
And both in the church and in society. So I think I've spent a lot of time in terms of trying to empower Christians in their work.
Yes.
So that we don't have a kind of hierarchy between clergy and laity, but really recognise that the people on the front line are Christians who are serving humbly in all sorts of spheres of society, Monday to Friday, etc. So really enabling them to see themselves as ministers. It's not just the people who are up front on a Sunday, it's the people who are kind of taking the towel of service like Jesus and washing the feet of humanity. Yes. Carrying some of the, taking some of the crap of the world on themselves, that the people who need to be lauded and empowered and encouraged,
yes.
and have the sense they're not doing it by themselves, that they're actually doing it as God's people, as they're scattered. They're not just isolated individuals, sort of like fingers cut off from the hand, but that they have a sense of community in the way they do that. So that's been the case, particularly in terms of the workplace. And I did my doctorate on the area of calling or vocation and how people sort of discover that and develop that from God, how God kind of plants that in people and how it gets developed through God's Spirit giving them gifts and that, as well as sort of natural talents and how Jesus calls people. But I think in terms of mental illness, I've mentioned that, and we have an issue coming out of our Equip magazine on mental illness, and we've called it Stick the Stigma of Mental Illness.
Yes.
Using that old sort of, sort of stick it up them kind of old Australian phrase in a way,
Yes.
but that comes too from a sense of, the old picture of the stigmata, the sort of wounds of Jesus and people talking about that. Well, there's a sense in which Christ took that on himself. He was actually, even his own family at one point thought he was mad, or some thought he was demon possessed.
Yes, that's right.
And so that he has taken that stigma on himself and taken it away finally on the cross. He's borne our wounds, whether physical wounds or mental wounds.
Right.
That he's done that. I think that applies to refugees, because with the group Love Makes a Way outside Bill Shorten's office Monday week back, and protesting outside there. There was a group inside, the ones who were eventually arrested, not for anything violent. It was completely non-violent. We sent flowers in and card and that, but just somehow wanting them to try and recognise that, as Bill Shorten's a family man, Tony Abbott is too, that children in detention, these are people who belong in families, and that they don't belong behind bars, and they're not criminals. They have a right as asylum seekers to seek asylum, and so to connect the personal and the political in that kind of way, I think is the way to try to get to people's hearts, not just a purely intellectual kind of argument.
Right.
And I guess that's what we were trying to do there. For again, I think for a Christian, if I had time to make up a banner, it would have been Refugeesus. because Jesus was a refugee.
Yes,
he was
right.
carted off as a child because of persecution, because King Herod was trying to have him killed. He went off to Egypt, just like God's people, the Jews, were. The term Hebrew or Hebrew actually comes from the term for refugee. Scattered group of people, almost like gypsies around the ancient Middle East and that. So, but I think the kinds of issues I've gotten involved in have basically those deep roots in the very nature of God in Christ,
Yes.
and in those sorts of areas, and how to empower those people, like empowering lay people, empowering people to be able to speak up and express their own perspective on their own situation in life. And so the writing I do, the publications that we publish through Ethos, etc., are designed to, they're largely from lay people, and people with real expertise in various areas in society and culture, like Mick Pope,
Yes.
the Pope, who's a meteorologist speaking on climate change, who you had just a week ago, I think.
Yes.
People like that.
Yeah, I come to something that I've read that you had said, like, I want the bread of life that never goes stale. How does that fit into because that's what I'm getting from you as you're talking now. This is bread of life stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, like I think I think there are a lot of people who are searching. I think, but I think there's a lot of ignorance in the world these days. We've kind of lost some access to both our Christian heritage or other spiritual heritages, and so I think there are a lot of people actually being fed junk food.
Yes,
in many ways, and they're really they're just focused kind of on the present quite often, and what's the latest kind of fad or whatever, and the things that have stood the test of time, the hopes that enable us to deal with the hopes and fears of all the years, that have been that are tried and true. I think we're missing out on a lot of that. So
Yes.
for me, that's, and that would particularly be focused on that phrase about the bread of life that never goes stale. It's not only an everlasting quantity of life, but it's the very quality of life that Christ had.
Yes.
And in a contagious kind of sense, and wanting to help people catch that. You're not going to be able to shove that down people's throats. It's
You won't shove stale bread down the throat either, which goes stale over time. We've got to break. Yep. We'll be back in a moment.
If you're watching your favourite Indian television show, it's Aussie Indian.
This is the show which brings you the best of Indian, from Bollywood to cricket and everything in between.
All the breaking news from India, all the latest Bollywood movie releases, as well as Indian fashion.
I am excited to bring some fantastic episodes of Aussie Indian in 2019.
See you on the other side.
This season, we need your help to control Queensland fruit fly in our region. Your infested fruit is destroying your neighbour's harvest and the livelihood of our orchardists and their families. Pick up and dispose of fallen fruit. Infected fruit in your backyard is a breeding ground for fruit fly. Monitor fruit fly numbers by hanging traps in your fruit trees. Traps can be purchased at your local hardware stores. Net your fruit trees and susceptible vegetables with fruit fly specific netting. Contact us for information.
The tax office can take money directly out of people's accounts, but you're not allowed to know. The elderly are being abused and neglected in nursing homes, but you're not allowed to know. The government can raid journalists for reporting the truth if it says you're not allowed to know. It couldn't happen in Australia. It's happening now. When the government hides the truth from you, what are they covering up? Authorised by Australia's Right to Know, Sydney.
Alleluia. Mani
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony in Diversity, and we're speaking with Reverend Dr. Gordon Preece. We had the situation of you mentioning a couple of times ethos. What's ethos?
Well, ethos is a collaboration of a number of people, largely lay people. I think I'm the only ordained one amongst us, who have real kind of expertise in particular areas. So I'd mentioned Mick Pope, Denise Cooper-Clark has a doctorate in that she did on the issue of euthanasia. Brian Edgar he used to run the predecessor to Ethos. He has a great deal of ethical and scientific kind of knowledge. There's a range of people who develop little think tanks. So Mick Pope heads up Ethos Environment. I head up Ethos Business, and we teach courses. So at the School of Macquarie University School of Applied Finance, we train finance professionals there. We do. We give ethical investment advice and training to the staff at Christian Super, which is a Christian superannuation fund that wins lots of awards as best ethics fund or ecological fund. It's certainly up there as one of the most ethical in Australia. And it's recently decided to scrap investing in coal. Coal producers or people who get more than 20 corporations that get more than 20% of their income from coal. So we're working on that now. So we're involved in a range of projects that are trying to help us look at not only the kind of how do you heal the woundedness of people and how do you address the ethical issues and the character issues, because ethos means character. So it's the questions of, well, what kind of world do we want to have? Do we want to just have a world where we're basically going to threaten the survival of creation? Do we want to have what kind of nation do we want to be? Do we want to be one that actually, like the national anthem says, where we do actually welcome people from across the seas, or are we going to basically just going to put up the gates and fob them off onto some of the poorest countries in the world? And what kind of church do we want to be? A church where there's been dreadful scandals of abuse, for instance. How are we going to deal with those kinds of issues and clean up our own act? And what kind of families do we want to have? What character do we want to have as individuals or as professionals, etc. So a lot of what we do is trying to look at, well, what's the story that we need to shape us and find our character in. If you don't, my son's been an actor, and I used to get his scripts and faxed through in the days of faxes, and you can't have a character without having a narrative, without having a story. And I think one of the things people find difficult today, particularly probably a lot of younger people, I think, is that we've lost a sense of character, or some people use a big term like meta-narrative. The things, whether it's Christianity or it could be, certain other religions, or it could be the narrative of progress, capitalism, socialism, etc. That there are lots of question marks over a lot of these different sorts of meta-narratives that are out there, or stories, and so people are finding it harder for all the choices they have to work out, well, what kind of person do I want to be? What kind of work do I want to do? What kind of character do I want to have? It's quite hard, I think, these days.
Yes, that's correct. And I think there's the issue too with that narrative. There's a lot of what you spoke about has got political connotations to it. How do you bring that potential narrative to politicians? You're in the political arena when you start to discuss these issues.
I mentioned earlier about, say, with going to visit Bill Shorten, the group that went there. I think you have to. I think we can often debase politicians, and we can, but they're only really reflective of us. We do live in a democracy after all,
That's right.
and so rather than making scapegoats of them, I think we've got to try and connect with them. You know, the two current leaders, the major parties, you know, they both have families. How do you connect with them so that they can identify that, well, refugees are in those situations with families. You know, they're risking their lives often to make a better future for their families. And so the whole personalist political thing, I think, is quite critical.
Yes.
And how do we turn around a kind of climate of fear and sort of fortress Australia to actually have a climate of openness? How can we have sort of a sense of hospitality between the different religions as well? Not just tolerance, where you just put up with people from other religions or other cultures, but a sense of openness and welcome, and turn from hostility to hospitality.
Yes.
Towards those people. I think there's some of the big challenges that we face, and that's the kind of thing we try to do with ESOS. We're certainly willing to cooperate with people on those issues.
That's great, because just getting back to politics, as they say, you get the politicians that you deserve because we voted. So that implies that the narrative for the voters needs to change. So what do you do? How do you get that exposed? As you got your magazine, what else would you do?
Yeah, well, I think you've got to ask who's telling the stories. In the end, and we live in a culture where there's massive sort of monopoly in the press and in our media, and that is a big danger, I think, for us as a country.
Absolutely.
That's why it's important to have community television, community radio, social media, to get other voices out there. Even if they're often small and struggling, and often there's a lot of voluntary work involved in them, that's what it's like for Ethos and that. But we do. We are the publisher of the Australasia's best religious publication for 2013, Zadok Perspectives, and we try with that. These days in print, you've got to have something that actually has beauty about it.
Yes,
I think if you're going to put something out there, it's got to have something extra that appeals to the aesthetic side. It's not just purely cognitive. Not like, well, we have plenty of sort of mind food. It's not junk food.
No, but there's something else. There's a hook.
Yeah.
The hook is time, and we're just out of it for the moment. We'll be back.
If man's home is his castle, his shed is his kingdom. It's a place men can hang out with a few mates, build a few things, even if you haven't before, and give back to the community. No man should be without a shed. The Australian Men's Shed Association is working to provide a shed for all Australian men, and they have over 400 already. Visit your local shed, build your community, and make a difference. Find a shed near you. It's time to give back.
Hush, little baby, don't you cry. Daddy's gonna sing you a lullaby. When you're sleeping safe and sound, you've got the proudest dad in town. I remember when I first saw you, your heart beating as you grew. We'll read you stories to help you dream. Your mommy and I are a perfect team. I can't wait to hear you sing or watch as you put on a wedding ring. One day you'll have children too. Remember the times I sang to you.
Behind your favourite team, there's another team. At all levels, in all codes, sports trainers are working to make sport safer. Sports trainers learn injury prevention techniques from doctors and other health professionals so they can provide the right first aid when the going gets tough. If your team could do with a sports trainer, maybe it's time you got a little closer to the action. Find out how you can become a sports trainer. Sports Medicine Australia, providing the team behind the team.
Alleluia, 'cause
You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Reverend Dr. Gordon Preece. Gordon, we were discussing media and how you get out there before the break. You mentioned a thing called AMAP. What's that?
AMAP is the Australian Media Engagement Project, and it's one of our partners at Ethos, and they're working with journalists and others. They have some eminent sort of journalists, or in some cases recently retired, like say Barney Zorts, who's religion editor of The Age, Jonathan Holmes of Media Watch fame. He's going to do some interviews on an event that they're going to hold in Sydney soon, and trying to help journalists uphold the journalist code, if you like, the code of ethics, but also to try and not only look at codes but also modes. This is sort of like the character side of things.
Yes.
You know, how do you make wise judgments? How do you stick up for truth? You know, how do you have a sense of professional identity as a journalist that is broader than just your loyalty to the person who pays you, the organisation that pays you? And so there's some of the issues that that we're exploring through that AMAP's exploring, and we're kind of partnering with them in that. So that's one of the projects that we have. We partner with lots of people. You know, when you're small, you need to basically sort of combine with other groups that are small, and it's a bit like the loaves and the fishes. You know,
yes.
and then something good and bigger comes out of that. Yeah.
How does AMAP go? Because the people who make the media narrative, it's really important that they receive these other narratives. Are they willingly accepting that, or is it a bit of resistance?
Look, it's in the early stages, but you know, they've had projects that have looked at some issues, like for instance youth suicide, and so how do you get maybe more, while confronting those difficult issues, how do you get more hopeful kind of narratives out there?
Yes.
And so they'll try and highlight good examples, like, you know, for instance, the journalists and the papers that ran stories on that, and brought out some of the truth of that situation. So that's one of the things. So, you know, how do you well, youth suicide might be from one angle, you know, just another kind of media bad news story. From another angle, where you give examples of hope, there are some good news stories out there, and so that's where some of the healing can come. So that's one example. Because in terms of youth, I remember Richard Eckersley talking. He was a youth specialist at that stage. At a conference we ran on ecological issues, and there's a lot of despair out there. You know, there's a lot of despair about issues like climate change amongst young people, and how do we actually empower people to be able to tackle those issues? And I think there are lots of issues that we need to tackle amongst the different religions, actually combining on tackling those issues.
Yeah.
So while I think we can maintain our claims to religious exclusivism in terms of truth, and not kind of try to water down to some lowest common denominator. And Miroslav Volf, my doctoral mentor, was recently on Q&A. He was out here talking about that. But we can have a claim to religious exclusivity, like, for instance, that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. But you can have deep respect for other people's religious convictions and how they play out in public life, and that they need to have the space, even in a secular society, not a secularist society where it becomes almost its own religion, but a secular society where it's a genuinely pluralist society where people are able to publicly engage about those issues.
That's right.
But we don't have to be violent towards each other. We can be genuinely respectful, and we don't have to be just tolerant in the sense of putting up with, but we can actually be genuinely hospitable and welcoming and listening and dialoguing with each other, and tackling some of these big issues like climate change, for instance. Really, they've got to be tackled in a bipartisan way, and our politicians tackle them in that kind of way, or refugees or Indigenous issues, for instance, if we're going to make sustained progress.
Yes.
But if you're just chopping and changing every 3 years,
yes,
then we're not going to make any progress on those issues. And in the same token, I think the religious leaders need to, and there is dialogue between the religious leaders on these issues. You know, there is a religious coalition on climate change issues, for instance, and that there are groups getting together on the refugee issues. So I can remember after 9/11 being on ABC TV, I used to fill in for the Archbishop, and the various religious leaders were there. And I was asked straight after 9/11, it was on the ABC, will this issue kind of go away? And basically I wanted to say, well, no, it's not going to go away. It's a very, very big issue. But what I want to say is that the world didn't change forever in 9/11. Like, as a Christian, it was Christmas was coming up, and I want to say it changed forever at 25/12 or 12/25, to put it the American way. And then I looked along the line at the various other religious leaders who I have great respect for, and said, but you would want to say, the same in terms of your own religion. And we can debate that. We can even argue robustly about that, but with great respect for each other, without, taking rifles to each other or bombs to each other.
That's right.
And I think we need to be able to foster that spirit in our public life.
Yes. So do you come across parallels to ethos, like a Muslim ethos or a Buddhist ethos?
Oh, look, I'm sure they're out there in various ways. I haven't particularly discovered sort of formal ethics organisations, but I think there are parallels in terms of a lot of ethical issues. C.S. Lewis many years ago in The Abolition of Man had in the appendix, he talked about the law of Tao. Which basically roughly corresponds to the sort of second half of the Ten Commandments.
Yes.
You basically can't have a society where adultery is rife, where people are stealing from each other, etc., etc. Every society needs something like that, and it's a kind of like a natural law. And so we can have basic agreement about those things on the basis of creation, but then there are particular expressions of that through our religious leaders.
Now, I'm going to steal something, or time has stole something. Thanks so much, Gordon. It would be wonderful to speak to you again at some later time, and
love to.
That would be wonderful. You've been watching Harmony and Diversity, and we'll be back next week.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu.
If you choose to drink then drive,
you could ruin lives.
Someone else's,
your family's,
or your own.
Choose not to instead.
The right choice could save someone's life.
Proud supporters of safety in our community.
GMCU and Southern Cross Austereo.
For interesting and informative interviews, join us for NAT Chat Monday nights at 8. Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
The following program carries an MA classification and may contain adult themes and coarse language. MELfeed.video advises that it is suitable for viewers aged 15 plus.
Introducing marriage, a stimulating, jazzy illusion. Lovers love more whilst clinging to continuous, beautiful marriage. 100% made, from 100% monogamy. We get more from your betrothed for a mild, submissive orgasm. Only the best marriage is used to create your important ontology. Our secret process delivers a doubling in your rate of exploitation. Marriage, available in luscious morning-style caresses or short, sharp afternoon thrusts. Marriage. Back in the kitchen under the sizzle of the hot stove, it's New York and Salsa Dura as the soundtrack, and it's hard to decide which sensation to accept at any one time. Puerto Rico from one side and Puerto Rica from the other side, while Mama sucks in the fiancé with sweet nothings of Julio Iglesias. Penetrate artlessly within holy matrimony. But wouldn't it make sense that a versatile guy will more successfully pleasure me, artfully whole body foreplay me, hot, 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 and not just in the cock, hands heartening whole body is like a kind of drawing, while Mama sucks in the fiancé with sweet nothings of Julio Iglesias. Penetrate artlessly within holy matrimony. But wouldn't it make sensual, mutual mascarpone with hands me, artfully whole body foreplay me, lick, 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 and not just on the clit, tongues titillating whole body is like a kind of speaking, while Mama sucks in the fiancé with sweet nothings of Julio Iglesias. A mutual mascarpone while salami cannelloni. Watching the dogs at it in the back alley, she invites presentation from behind. But such a civilised hubby would never have a doggy for a wifey. Slowly rotating to scissors formation, halfway house between sitting and doggy, animal turning slowly on a spit is like a kind of poetry, is it not? Homo erect, simple, standing perpendicular, full frontal presentation, perhaps a necessary technique in a restricted space like a toilet. Sitting on it. Are you clitting comfortably? Let me help you out. Take it easy, yeah, yeah, yeah. Take it easy. Easing into recumbent ministry position, a missionary meditation, a suspension, pensile, pending, suspending, a holding it inside, there is good, then is jiggle it a little bit, is always deferring desire, deferring sweet burst of organic climax, transvested mahu, penetrates versatile manmo, penetrates fiery Puerto Rica, cunnilingus sweet P. Adrienne, cunningly covers transvested mahu, while Mama sucks in the fiancé with sweet nothings of Julio Iglesias. In the summertime, in the atmosphere, the appetite, the boy, student boy, mummy's boy, come vacation, come to mummy. Mealy, creamy, skinny, weedy. The weedy like their men rough, so in with a chance? No? Rather with that yucky? Plunged into rigorous self-searching treatise on the ranking in the hierarchy of the sexual magnetism, plunged into mummy boy for second chance, door closing, with a smooth smother of smooch, smirk smothering smooches, smouldering smirches, mamelon, mumsy, melisma, melange, smack smothering smudges, smouldering smooges, melon, melt, mumble, member, molasses, smears, membranes, mollified molly, smears, millions, momentum, smooches, momentum, smooges, momentum, smooches, smothering, smouldering, smack, smack, mumsy, smack, smack, mamelon, smack, smack, melon, melt, mumble, member, molasses, smothering, smooches, smouldering smooges, mamelon, mumsy, melisma, melange, break smudge, breath smooch, break smooth, melon, melt, mumble, member, molasses, brace, brazen breeze, brief brink, bruise brush, mamelon, mumsy, melisma, melange, grip smudge, grunt smooch, grin smooch, grant smooth, melon, melt, mumble, member, molasses, grab gram, grapple grasp, groan grope, groovy, mamelon, mumsy, melisma, melange, smirk, smothering smooch, smouldering, smack, smothering, smudges, smouldering, smooges, ribs protruding, smothering, smouldering, hips colluding, smothering, smouldering, ribby and hippy, but meaty meat, melt, mumble, member, molasses, smack, smack, smothering, smudges, smouldering, smooges, melon, down for the sit, slow, anal, radiating, satisfied, smothering, smouldering, insert vigorous, penal, crushed wall up against the floor, down the floor with a mollified momentum, smooshes, momentum, smothering, smouldering, mollified momentum, melon, melt, mumble, member, molasses, licorice, member, molasses, succeed, succession, member, molasses, sweet sweat, swept, swelling to the membrane, mamelon, mental, marinade, membrum virile. Melismas of smoocher smoke, brazen molasses breath, smacks back, grab, smacks back, to grapple melanges. Grab licorice, smoulder, suck licorice, seeds to the melon, melt, member, momentum. A million melismas of sweet smoochers, swell smirchers, sweat smudges, member smack, melon smack, molly smack, mumsy smack, membraning, draining, gaining, caning, staining, straining, whirling, smirk, smotherings, waning, smooch, smouldering, waning, the raining falls mangling on planking in Spain. Need a break? With a smirk and a grin, the sheepish need is to resume the quest. The weedy quest because they like their men rough. But in chancing by, he couldn't help letting out a winning, melting melisma of a smile. As a child, a mummy's boy from an Italian family, I was introduced to a jazzy drink. In those days, we didn't call it cafe latte, as they might today. We didn't say latte, rhyming with hay, or lay. Cafe! Latte cafe! Goats got horny, nibbling berries. Berries brewed, kept monks alert. Alert were travellers on their journeys. Journeys of the beans of Ethiopia. Went from Ethiopia to Mecca. Mecca's coffee houses charged by music. Music played by chess and conversation. Conversation bore the beans to Venice. Venice celibates feared infidels. Infidels took dark espressos. Cafe. Latte cafe. Grinding, grinding, rushing. Rushing, gushing, roast beans brew. Brew is dancing in the air. Air comes to rest as font. Font is pricked with milk. Milky foam sucked dry. Dry, immediate hit, first sip. First sip, and then the next and next. And next the turn bound for neat end. Neat end and afterflow and afterglow. Cafe. Latte cafe. Places to drink slowly, places to read, to chance upon music, to play eye contact games, to talk, perchance to flirt, to sit and just be, because that is where others sit and just be. A vaguely gospel soul-type piano creeping into 1964, a wall of sound awaiting. When you're alone, I'll tell you. When you're alone, I'll tell you.
I was in my 40s when I was first diagnosed with bowel cancer. George, my son, was 6 years old at that time. These days, like people of his age, he's very busy, but he still needs to find the time to get to know his bowel cancer risk. Is that right, George?
Yes, Dad. Bowel cancer affects 1 in 12 Australians, young and old, and is our second biggest cancer killer. But if caught early, bowel cancer is treatable and beatable. My dad is living proof of that. So get to know your bowel cancer risk. Talk to your pharmacist or GP about screening. Protect yourself and the ones you love. Go to lovemyfamily.org.au.
Juggling work and caring for mum can be overwhelming. Having an understanding employer and access to support helps. I love my mum. I just wish I had some time to myself.
Australian women need to kiss more. Watch out for persistent and unusual symptoms as they could be a sign of ovarian cancer. Know the important signs and symptoms. Kiss. Look out for symptoms like abdominal or back pain, difficulty eating or feeling full quickly, or persistent bloating, or a change in toilet habits. If you're experiencing persistent and unusual symptoms for more than 14 days, see a GP. Make sure you kiss regularly.
No one knows what to say.
I try and treat him the same as I always have.
He didn't want to give up. He just couldn't.
Caring for Catherine was tough, but when I look back, it was the best thing we ever did together.
It's hard to know how to talk about dying. These people know.
If you need to know how, visit lifeanddeath.org.au and join the conversation.
When you're alone inside the bathroom of childhood, play Petula Clark. Found sound. Immigrant home closed off from bustle downtown. Escape the stifling grill. Found sound. You may find somebody kind to help and understand you. Dancing into 1964, the bossa nova. If you like, well, I'll tell you more. The light's so much brighter there. You can forget all the curfews. Forget as if to make you think that I know a place downtown. I know a place. It turned out waiting by some spa amidst lush plastic foliage, fig leaf separation, plastic happiness that lasts. While downtown, I know a place downtown, and it's a found sound, soul-type piano creeping into the B-side. Shop assistants that think they are middle-class find that working is stifling their drive. At the door, there's a man who will greet you, then you go downstairs to some tables and chairs, and then up to the key of F-sharp. Ooh, all around there are girls and boys. It's a swinging key to be in. When we've left the drudgery of alienation in the nation of the boom, well, it looks as if it's not enough. So to telling more than I know a place downtown. I know a place. It turned out waiting by some spa amidst lush plastic foliage, fig leaf separation, plastic happiness that lasts while downtown, I know a place downtown, and it's a found sound, and and dragging out the well-worn cliche upper semitone, and and instrumental interlude of blaring sassy trumpets, and and you can fill the words according to your situation. It was a struggle rhyming as a migrant in this nation. False relation. The blonde's so much brighter there. You can forget all about it. Never let you forget that you're a round and hairy, socially inadequate outsider, intimidated by the Anglo-Saxon fashion media, but I know a place downtown. I know a place downtown. Happy again. It's gonna be all right now, because I found sound that I found sound, that I found sound, that I found sound, that I... When it comes to the crunch, it's discordant, sir. When it comes to the crunch, it's discordant, sir. I don't like you, sir, and I hate to tag you, sir. You got me in between the Facebook and a sea of friends. I delete you, sir, because I can't defriend you, sir. You got me in between the Facebook and a sea of friends. I ought to cross you off quite neat, but when you come a Zeuskin at my door, fate seems to give my heart a tweet, and I sure Twitter back for more. I should hate you, but I guess I love you, you got me in between the Facebook and a sea of friends. Flirter, face a face a face a face a friend a flirter, face a for a face a flirt a friend a face to face a butt to face a butt to face a book to face a book. I should hate you, but I guess I'm mad about you. You got in between the Facebook and the face for you. Having a laughable shul ba-doo-be doo ya da wa da ba-doo chill do we dum.
A bog. In a fatalistic fervour, I went in search of new beginnings. I journeyed beyond the horizon, beyond the named and known, beyond even the most outrageous hypotheses. How can one reach the end of the earth on a circular world? Yet Incessantly did I force my nose in unmade holes, searching beneath tread marks of feet not yet fallen, within non-existent fingerprints for handles not grasped, between the lines of some vast experiential archive for tastes not tasted, for never was there a tongue. Thus I did eventually reach a realm beyond all reaching, beyond all wideness, exceeding the far. I bumbled upon a rare bogginess, pristine, modest and primordial, snuggling in a nook. Beyond the furthest creepings of our toxic legacy, which had nothing to do with Halley's Comet, I pressed my ear unto a blob, straining to discern the quietest murmurings, perhaps some precognisant slumberings, the toiling of some unformed cell, the metamorphosis of an atom. How wondrous would it be to hear the merest gurgle! This was where nothing had been, which was now enveloped by my horizon, but would remain nameless, not even called a bog, until that bogginess, if ever, gives birth. How wondrous would it be!
I thought I'd bring some props. It's a leak. It's a leak. So, this is a poem for Julian Assange, as long as I can read it. Okay, secrets live in coal mines with crushed tunnels, in hidden jails where prisoners have numbers but not names, on unofficial flights trafficking those assigned to torture, in Guantanamo, which is outside all legal jurisdictions, in dubious statements of accounts where the line items conceal funds, in rooms without windows with stacked boxes of forgotten papers, in memories and cover-ups, in broken childhoods and shame, in whispers and furtive looks and coded conversations, in graveyards where coffins are reused, in intentional forgetting and the lies of politicians. The life of secrets is fed on fear, sustained by shadows, dependent on the dark. Thank you.
Are you playing renovation roulette? I'm John Jarrett.
Now I know that deadly asbestos lies hidden in 1/3 of Aussie homes.
It can be found in any home built or renovated before 1987. Lurking in walls, under floor covering, behind tiles, in roofing. Asbestos, it was used everywhere. So if you're a renovator or a tradie, you could be risking your life and the lives of others. Remember, go slow. Asbestos, it's a no-go. Visit asbestosawareness.com.au to learn what you need to know.
It's easy for things to go wrong around water. More so if you can't swim.
It's great seeing kids confident in the water and enjoying themselves. An important part of keeping kids safer around water is learning to swim.
There are over 600 registered swimming schools that run the Australian Unity Learn to Swim program. To find one, go to the Swim Australia website.
Tick, 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 fashion.
Tick, 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 fun.
Tick, 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 food.
Tick, 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 festivals.
All make up 15 fabulous minutes.
In a half-hour special.
Presented to you by Jacqueline and Steve.
Every week. Time's up.
Okay, so this is my first poem of the evening. It's quite bright. I feel a little bit like I'm having a near-death experience. Yes. So this is all new stuff, new, glistening, bloody new. Fresh from the womb. Yes, it is. I wrote this 3 days ago. So I'm reading. Yes, I am. And it's about a misadventure with a man. Surprise, surprise. How amazing. How... Yes, as I said, things do convert, but not all things. Not all things. To a nun. In the silence of witching hour, I stood afoot the bed like a goddess. He watched me dress, put on my superhero suit. Tight, he said, it was my jumpsuit. Tight, he said, pure sex, the way the patterns shot right up my legs and out of my box, fanning out like rays of me, exploding from my centre, he said, pure sex. And we went out into the night, and I stood under the moon by the clothesline, and the rain-dappled air smelt divine. 1,000,000 years of mist kissing our glittering post-coital wounds. Open-mouthed to truth, we were raw, and I saw our hearts, shiny, throbbing red and glistening like death and plums and love and my dreams of the other side of this life, that this pain, this fever that rots my days with too much thought, and for a millisecond I swam into air and glowed there with the stars. I had no name in that silence. We were the same. And then we went back to lay like crop circles. Like crop circles, made mad perfection beyond human comprehension whilst all were in their beds, only to be discovered in the morning and filled with doubt, a threat to the academics as to how we came about. Yes, at first light, the amnesia came thick and fast, eradicating the beauty with denial, because everybody knows that magic like that, it doesn't last.
I made a metal butterfly with wings of painted steel, which a tiny electric motor made to flutter as if they were real. All things are metaphor, if only the mind can see. The force that made the butterfly was the same as fashioned me. I tested it in the garden, and battery-powered it flew the erratic dance of the butterfly over flowers that we grew. All things are metaphor, if only the mind can see. The force that made the butterfly was the same as fashioned me. Then I computerized its brain and stereotyped its ways exactly like a butterfly. It was programmed to behave. In the garden, I released it as summer days grew long, and certain of its good intent, it crushed the flower it lighted on. All things are metaphor, if only the mind can see. The force that made the butterfly was the same as fashioned me.
I
I am dumb, I am dumb. Hold my breath till I come. I am smart, I am so smart, but I open my heart and my legs come apart. I am dumb, I am dumb. Plug my ears till I come, close my eyes, spread my thighs. You're the one, you're the one. Just pretend, no, please pretend, because I don't need no more friends. No, I don't need a father, a brother, a mother. I need to feel skin, feel the heat of another. Mammalian dreams rip apart at the seams. Can you just hold your tongue? You're the one, hold your tongue till I come. You're the one, you are. The bad boy in that movie, wrong side of the tracks, just exist in that scene. Scrape your hands down my back. I am the Mona Lisa. I'm an Amazon queen. I am the girl with the pearl earring. I exist in the scene. I am Juliet, Aphrodite, in my pale silken nightie that longs to be seen. Stage the scene. I'm the queen. I am a clinging wet dress in the hot summer rain. You're the man with the secrets and scars on his veins, in the hotel, in the movie, with your beautiful pain. Track marks all the way to my heart. I am Kathy, you are Heathcliff. I am Venus to a boy. You're the stallion, I'm the jockey. You're the cat and I'm the toy. I am lily white, fragile, bursting to break. You are molten lava. You say you could take me 10 times in a night. And I fight, yes I fight, my brain that says no, he is wrong. But the night is so big with its thunder, so fresh with its seed. We are glittering infants, I long for a feed. I am dumb, I am dumb. I am wise, I am wise. Hold my breath till I come, close my eyes, spread my thighs. You are smart. Are you smart? For you open my heart and my legs come apart because you see into my heart. Are you smart? Are you smart because you know how to be adrift on the storm? Am I dumb? Is it me? Close my eyes, spread my thighs, be the tree, be the stars, be the sky, be the planets. You said you could see Mars on my arm and I know I'm a fool to believe, but God, I want to let go. I am dumb, hold my breath till I come, close my eyes, spread my thighs. You're the one, block my ears, damn my fears. Hold my tongue, hold my tongue till I come. You're the one, shh, shh. You're the one.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV.
Welcome to the Australian Bridal Services. You're watching Living It Loud because we love living it loud. the Maya registry, basically. Now, this is probably an easy way to sort out what you're getting as gifts. Would that be right?
Yep, that's correct.
So how does one do it? How simple is this?
What happens is the bride or groom just walks straight into one of our Maya stores at any location. It takes about 15 minutes for them to register on our computer, and it's up to the bride or groom to see how long it takes for them to make up their list.
So you don't have to come in announced or anything, you just rock up?
We show them how it's done, what information we need, and then they're free to add at any store right up until the wedding day.
Is there a limit? No limits? No price?
No.
What's the most, have you had expensive, elaborate people, like nothing over 150 or something like that?
Yes, we've had those with the expensive dinner sets, furniture, white goods.
So they can get away with that?
Yes,
Asking
they can.
a lot, yeah?
Yes, they can also put board games on there, anything they like.
Anything they like. Have you got any funny stories about people, obviously they've chosen and say, this is what we want. Do they come back and say, we don't want it?
Yeah, they do, definitely.
Really? Why is that? They've spent all that time choosing and they bring it back?
No. I've had a lady who came back with the present still wrapped up, so...
Really? What, they want their money for it, or...?
She wanted credit notes to spend on something else. She didn't even know what was in the parcel.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So easy to do, just pop down any Maya and just come in and register. Joined here with Claudia. Now, you do specialty gowns for the mothers.
We do. Mother of the bride, mother of the groom, special occasion, and guest.
How important is it for the mother to look good?
Extremely important, because if it wasn't for the mother, there wouldn't be any bride.
That's true.
True, and often people forget the mother of the bride. So
Can she outdo the bride?
Never.
Never?
Never, never, never.
So you've got to design it that she doesn't stand out too much.
She should stand out so she looks elegant, and everybody looks at her and says, my God, you're looking lovely today. You've never looked better. But you never outdo the bride.
Okay.
Ever.
And do they shop together, mum and daughter, when they come in? Yeah.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes daughter can be very supportive.
Yes, and other times? I want to know the juice.
Other times daughter can be a little bit of a hindrance because...
Really? I thought it'd be the mother that'd be, putting pressure onto the bride.
No, the mothers are very, very into it. And the daughter has to understand that it's for the mother, not necessarily for the daughter. But also the bride gets to veto everything because it's her day.
Absolutely.
So it's a little tricky and a bit of human relationships going on there.
And your gowns, how much do they vary price-wise?
They start at about $7.95. Average is $8.50, $9.50.
Fantastic. So all those mums out there want to look good, but not too good?
No, they're supposed to look wonderful.
Wonderful.
Absolutely wonderful.
But just don't outdo the bride. You guys look like you're working at a wedding here. Who's getting married?
Me.
Me. And when are you getting married?
When am I? 11th of May.
11th of May. So how's it been? Stressful?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
'Cause you got mum here to help.
Yeah.
And mum, you've been through it all before, I take it?
A long time ago. Long time ago, yeah.
So what are we doing that's different then? Obviously you can't copy mum.
But I can't tell.
Why?
They're my secrets.
What are your secrets? Come on, tell us your secrets.
No, I don't really have that much different, do I?
How far into it are you?
Very. Halfway. Yeah, probably half.
So got the cake, got the dress?
No, I haven't got the cake. The cake's on the agenda today. The cars are halfway there. Yeah. And yeah, pretty well.
Do you have a limit on how much you spend as a budget?
What the hell? No, not really. No.
Because you only get married once, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, so far, yes.
Yeah. Well, we only hope.
Dad's paid.
So who's the lucky man?
Costa.
Costa.
Yeah.
Greek.
Yep.
I feel sorry for you. It's all right. What can I say? Are you hoping to win?
Yeah.
What, you're getting married?
No.
No, why not?
Why not?
Are you single?
Yes.
Do you want to get married?
Yeah, of
You
course.
do?
Yeah.
Oh, what sort of guy do you want to marry? Any. If anyone's watching, how old are you?
38.
38?
20.
Oh, 20, I was going to say, my God. You've been on the shelf. Available?
Yeah.
Call me at Channel 31. I'll start a dating service. What do you reckon? See how you go. Has to be any kind, dark, rich? No, it doesn't matter. Oh, there you go. Not fussed. That's fine. Well, good luck. Good luck in husband hunting. Susan's novelty cakes. Now you do novelty as well as wedding, I take it.
Yes, we do birthday cakes, we do wedding cakes, we do anniversaries, we do chocolates, we do heaps of stuff.
Now I noticed you've got like a little cake in here, which is sponge. Yes?
It's not sponge.
It's not sponge. Sorry, what is it?
It's creamy vanilla cake.
Creamy vanilla cake.
Yes. We also have Kahlua fudge.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So this, you've taken out the step of traditional, fruit wedding cake stuff to, something a bit not traditional, I should say.
We still have fruitcake, but I mean, not many people order it these days. So,
Really?
yeah, we tend to find that this is more popular, so this is the way to go.
But so obviously this then would only last about a week, not even?
You can freeze it, and it lasts. I mean, it'll last for your first anniversary if you wanted to freeze the top tier.
Okay, so you'd have to make this pretty fast then, by the time you slap up a cake and say, here, we've got to do it a few days before the wedding?
Pretty much, yeah.
What happens if something happens? Do you have backup?
We're in trouble.
You are in trouble.
It's never happened yet.
Never happened. Cross our fingers it never will. Yeah. So how much does, say, a traditional wedding cake cost?
Depends what you're after.
Two-tier?
Two-tier. How many people are you feeding?
50?
Ranges from about $250 to about $2,000.
To $2,000.
Depending. I mean, if you can see the big cake back there, that's about $2,000.
$2,000.
Whereas one of the really smaller cakes there is only about $250.
$250.
Yeah.
Choosing a wedding is hard, choosing the right venue is even more difficult, but a touch of finesse is having an ice sculpture. Now, you guys specialise in these?
Yeah, we've been doing this for around about 3 years now.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Now, you hand carve them yourself? Or?
Yes, yep, we can basically anything can be carved, from swans through to dolphins, you name it, we can do it.
So it's not poured into a mould or anything like that? How long does this last?
Generally, as a rule, you're looking around 24 hours before it goes from basically water down to nothing, yeah.
That's pretty amazing. And what sort of animals, or is there any limitation to what you can and can't have done?
Only our imagination.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so anything can be done. We've done can-can dancers and dolphins, and basically anything can be carved. It's just a matter of getting it on a bit of paper and throwing around a few ideas between us.
So is this usually used like as a smorgasbord sort of environment, or you just have them sort of around in a... How do they use them?
Yeah, there's a number of ways. It just all comes back to personal taste. Everyone has their own individual options of what they'd like to do. If you have a look at this one here, this is more like a centre feature in a foyer or something like that. Okay. But for buffets as well. Another one that's very popular is what we call a spirit lug. And the principle of a spirit lug is if you pour alcohol through the top of it, it goes through the ice, chills the alcohol, and comes out the other end.
Ah. And how much are we looking, price-wise?
Oh, for the Bridal Expo today, we've got a special on the cherubs. If you buy one, you get one free. The regular price is $350. But if
for a bit of water. Is it pure water? Tap water?
It's purer than Melbourne water.
Okay. Hey, our water's damn good. You're getting married in December.
It's going to be great, isn't it?
You're planning a little
Cara's
ahead.
going to be there.
Yeah? So what are you planning? What sort of wedding? Come on, wife. Come on. Future wife. We'll get her a... That's it. We got you. Now, December. What made you choose to get married in December?
Oh, probably the nice weather.
Really? We're having a shithouse weather this year, I tell you that. So what are you looking at doing?
For the wedding?
Yeah.
I'm a bit embarrassed now.
Why? You gonna go parachuting or nude or something? No, well then you don't need to be embarrassed. Traditional?
Probably a traditional Greek wedding.
Greek wedding.
Yeah.
Now what's a Greek wedding? What's the difference?
To an Australian?
Yeah, well, you know, an average wedding. You do different things.
No, we dance a lot.
Yeah. Spill ouzo on the floor or the fire.
Just get pissed all night, yeah.
I think you better check out the people that use as a receptionist whether you can allow that fire on the ground. Don't want them burning all their floorboards. So what made you get married? To a Greek guy?
No, I really don't know. No.
I think you need to sit down and work this out, huh?
No, just...
love. You got to say love.
Love. I'm in love with him, so yeah.
I really can't resist, but...
We'll be back after the break if I can get my tongue off it.
Belly dance.
I do. I belly dance and I teach and I also perform at weddings and other functions.
Do you get much work for that at weddings?
Lots of work at weddings and festivals.
And what sort of people, what tradition would that be? All walks or?
At the moment, all walks of life, but generally speaking, Turkish, Lebanese, Greek. But we are opening it up to other...
The mainstream Aussie sort of style? Yeah, but they're probably expecting tabletop dancing or something like that, aren't they?
Unfortunately, yes, but that's why I'm here to explain.
Unbelievable.
Yes,
Sorry.
I'm here to...
educate. Yeah. It doesn't happen. She keeps the kid on. Now, do a little style of dancing of what people would be in for. Is there certain steps that you would do normally?
Yes.
Okay, give us your best number.
My best number, okay, would be a circle.
A circle. That's
or
the H, isn't it?
Or an 8. Yes, this is a circle.
Okay.
And this is an 8.
Can you do like the coins in the stomach and make them roll, turn up? And
well, I don't have any coins, but I'll see what I can do. How about that?
That's good. You've got it. now. You're almost ready to get married.
Yes, I am.
How have you coped?
It's been a long process. It's been fun.
Dramas?
A few dramas in the morning.
What are the dramas?
We forgot. I mean, the first thing we forgot was hairspray, which we needed.
Oh, very important.
Then we ended up getting my mother-in-law to drop off the hairspray at where we were having the actual hair done at a friend's place. And what else happened? Just a bit of confusion about flowers just a few minutes ago. We forgot things like makeup, on our way to my dad's house. And
so small things, nothing major.
No, nothing major.
So now you're Yugoslavian background.
I am.
So what's the tradition of that?
The tradition, how it works is basically the bride's meant to leave from the father's house.
Okay, which is where we are at the moment.
There's a wedding brunch for all of my dad's guests or friends, and I'm not allowed to be seen by any of the guests of my father until I actually leave the house.
There's a bit of a tradition going.
Yep, and then when I get to the actual church after the ceremony's finished, then I'm allowed to actually greet people after that.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
You're getting married?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
When are you getting married?
November.
Oh, okay. It's a little while yet. Turn around. So what are you looking for here?
General ideas.
Found anything?
Prices. A few, yeah.
Shocked about the prices?
No. No. It's pretty much quite reasonable for most things. What probably we thought it was going to be like. So.
A bit stressful?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not a bit, a lot.
A lot.
Actually.
Okay, so you're paying out on all your friends and going mad and all that sort of stuff? You are?
Very much so, yep.
It's a tough time. I think actually the ratio is a lot of couples split up prior to their wedding because of the stress of getting the wedding organised.
Well,
it's true.
I don't know. I haven't experienced anything like that,
So
but I hope it doesn't happen to me.
No, who's the lucky man?
Jim.
Jim. Aussie bloke?
No, Greek guy.
Okay, everybody we've met today have been marrying a Greek person. What's with the Greeks?
The Greeks rule. I mean, what can I say?
Rule?
What can I say?
They're all going, yeah. I've just holding my... So, do you want to walk down the red carpet with me? Practice. Yes. Have you practiced your walk then?
No, not as
so left, stop, right, stop. Now, when you get to the end, you're probably crying by this stage, yeah? You're sitting there and you get up to the priest and then you look at him and he takes the veil off you. Are you going to laugh or cry?
I'll probably start laughing.
Really?
Yeah, when I get nervous, I start to laugh.
Oh, okay, so you're not a crying bride, but your mum will be.
My mum will be in tears.
In tears. Yeah?
You do the Zorba?
The Zorba, yeah?
All right, you're going to go like this.
Back.
Kick that way.
Oh, okay. I got it. I think I'm getting, Delicious Kisses. What a fabulous name.
Thank you.
Where did you get that from?
Well, it was actually basically a culmination of emotions that I thought brides felt on their wedding day, or rather a romantic kind of,
And how long have you been doing it?
3 years now. This is our third year in business.
Now, specialising in, obviously you got gowns do you custom make everything one-offs or?
We do, not necessarily one-offs, but we do your one-offs. We will we have our samples in store, which we're very, very proud of, but if a bride comes in and has a dream gown in mind, we're happy to design towards that to suit her needs as the wearer and not our own as the designer.
Everybody wants to be a princess, isn't that right? And how does it feel?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know? How old are you?
18.
18. And when do you want to get married?
Oh, I don't know.
Bit young yet. And price range would be?
Prices start at about the $1,800 mark and go all the way up to about $3,500, which is quite reasonable.
That's not bad, yeah.
Made to measure dresses.
Yeah. Airbrush makeup?
Yes.
Get out of here. That hides everything.
Yeah.
Now you're getting married, I take it? Yes? So this is like a trial for you?
Yeah.
Do you know what you want?
No, we're just experimenting.
Oh, okay.
But you've seen the lady before.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Before she was I was going to say before and after, no?
No, after I've done.
Okay, absolutely. Now, why airbrushing and not just the traditional pencils and stuff?
Okay, this is a makeup that lasts 24 hours to 48 hours.
Wow.
It is rub-proof, sweat-proof, and also tear-proof or waterproof. So therefore the brides can cry, perspire, walk around. It will not come off. However, it is hypoallergenic. So it looks like absolutely they have nothing on.
Yeah, flawless.
Yes.
Fantastic. So you can have all those extreme elements and you can't wash it off.
You can.
You're going to have that face fixed for 48 hours. You're going to look like a bride for 2 days.
Wonderful.
It means when you fall asleep on the pillow, your face is not left there.
That's great.
It's something very important, obviously, that plays a big role in your wedding is looking for makeup.
Yeah, would be.
And how much does, say, a face cost?
Normally $150 for the ladies here.
Yeah.
The brides, it's $90 per application.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I mean, they look absolutely gorgeous at the end of the day.
You put spray paint in there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Spray painting.
And we also do fake tan as well with airbrushing, which looks really
Would that rub off on the clothing or not?
No, it's totally waterproof.
You've got an interesting range there up on stage.
Yes, we have something that's a little alternative for the brave bride, I imagine. Yes.
Do you get much call for that at all?
We have a niche market, and we actually create lots of interesting things for brides who don't want the traditional. Yes.
Now, is it something that's custom made, that's one-offs, or do you...
Custom made and one-off. Yes. So actually, if a client comes to me and has a drawing or something like that, we can craft anything. I can make anything.
So what's your favourite fabrics? I noticed you had a PVC up there, the red number, which is quite dramatic.
Yes, very dramatic. I can work in PVCs or chiffons or silk or lace or anything like that, but I don't do very much in the ivory and white.
No, I really couldn't see that happening.
Yes.
Now, how much would a gown range from?
Gowns range from $600 to whatever
cheap.
you... Yes, quite
Yeah.
reasonable for something that's more or less off the rack.
The red
but
number that was up on
the
stage?
red number is, her gown is $2,700. But that's the complete thing with all the metal banding actually in the crinoline and the ruff.
Bit of detail in there.
There's a bit of detail, but it needs to be a cool day. It's
And-
rather
yeah,
a hot
yes.
item for that sort of wedding.
A winter's wedding then.
It all works. We come over, we take the photos.
You spend the whole day? You go from getting ready to...
Groom's home, bride's home, reception, the actual event. First.
Do you get fed as well?
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I like it when we get fed.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, you have to consider that when doing a wedding that you might have to feed these guys. Now, fair enough. How much would it cost? What's your basics to your most
The
extreme?
Basics, we start at $1,700, and we go up to...
That's for one shot. Yeah.
And we can go up to $3,600.
When are you getting married?
January.
January. Next year. That's miles away.
Yeah, I know.
You're starting your face already. It won't last.
Get active, get social, get on a roll. For more info, visit skateaustralia.org.au.
Okay, Sarah, I'm going to order some pathology tests to see how everything's going.
Half the Australian population had a pathology test last year. That's you or someone you love. 100 tests are performed every minute, delivering vital medical information. From the moment you are born, your healthcare depends on pathology tests. 70% of medical decisions rely on information from pathology tests. Pathology is the engine room of healthcare. One small sample can reveal millions of insights all about you. Pathologists are your doctor's doctor. 25,000 people work to provide doctors with the answers they need to treat you. Australian pathology is world class. We may never meet you, but we see each of you as part of our family. Every minute, 23 Australians find out more about their health.
Good news, Sarah. The results show that everything's okay.
Pathology provides peace of mind.
I rely on Australian pathology.
Sign up online to support Australian pathology.
Ryan was diagnosed with asthma around about 2. Ryan never let asthma get in the way. He just lived and breathed for soccer. He was the kind of person that lived his life in excited anticipation. He did everything that he wanted to regardless, and even to the point of travelling overseas, he was actually advised he probably shouldn't. Ryan was like a lot of 19-year-olds. He thought he was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Ryan had been playing soccer in the afternoon and had a great game and came home and went out to a party. During the evening he started to feel unwell and rang me and asked me to go and collect him. On the way home in the car he told me that he hadn't taken his Preventer for quite a few weeks. So I suggested that he really should go to the hospital on the way home and get checked out because I was concerned that he wasn't getting any better. Within a very short period of time, Ryan experienced a respiratory arrest, was put on life support, and 3.5 weeks later he died. Whilst Ryan had been in hospital a couple of times with his asthma, I don't recall anyone ever telling me that you could die from asthma. I never for a minute thought that I would lose him. Even if someone told you that your child might die from asthma, I think you'd be thinking that was for other people. But the reality is it happens to normal people like us.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Live streamed from Echuca each week, MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Streamed from Echuca each week, MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
They say there's a chance I could die in a car crash. Maybe even from heart disease. Maybe even skin cancer.
I could die in a work-related accident. Or I could die in a fight.
The fact is, the biggest cause of death for men in my age group is suicide.
Please don't let this happen to me.
You can do something. Lifeline believes that suicide is mostly preventable. Help us save lives. Find out what you can do at lifeline.org.au.
MELfeed.video is about to close operations for tonight, but we'll be back with you next Monday evening. In the meantime, here is a selection of programs that will be seen on our next scheduled web stream. You're welcome to visit our website at MELfeed.video for further details of this project. Until next time, from all of us here at MELfeed.video, we wish you a very good night.